Welcome. This is a special video, one that my Patreons would enjoy. It's mostly Patreon-like material here. And we want to bring this to the eyes of the public. You know, we want the public to really focus in on what we're saying, because being a Black American male, I identify with this problem more than the majority of probably the people out there. Well, no, I got a large African American follower. So now there has been a major plot that's been going on that has been holding everyone back. And all of these other people are starting to follow this program. So we want you to pay attention what's been going on. As much as they keep trying to preach inclusion and getting you involved in professional sports, and we want to accept you, and Jackie Robinson and all of these different things, Major League Baseball has been lying to you. They have the same people in charge that they was when they were trying to keep Jackie Robinson out of Major League Baseball. They didn't want African Americans to come and play the game because, one, they were more athletic, they were faster, they could jump higher, and it would force their guys to basically be out of the game. But the problem was money. They saw all the money and the revenue that was getting made by the Negro Leagues, because people were watching their games because they were more exciting. They wanted to stop that at all costs. And they didn't own the Negro Leagues. So they wanted to shut that down by taking away the star athletes from those teams. And the reason why it became even more acceptable is because the people that was running the Negro Leagues were crooked towards their players. A lot of the owners were all over the place. And they didn't have best intentions. They didn't see the big picture. They just saw, let's get as much money off them as we could, which forced Black players to do traveling leagues. And the reason I bring that up, because it's going to echo a lot into what we're talking about here with sentiments. Now, here's what you don't understand about the process. A lot of people said, Jackie Robinson ruined the Negro Leagues. He did not. The Negro Leagues was ruined, period, because it was ran by mobsters and Black gangsters, and they was cutthroat. And the way they ran it was just as worse. Now, when you see other people come along and do things in a manner that doesn't seem to go in a way that other people would like, then don't ask any questions. Now, here's what people don't understand. Now we're fast forwarding it and getting up to track. Y'all didn't know, but back in the 80s, baseball was a foregone conclusion as far as revenue. The best sport around to make money in was boxing. Pop, 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 pop. Ali, pop, 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 pop. Boxing was the main event, the main attraction back then. If boxing was it, if you wasn't boxing, you wasn't doing your job. Boxing was it. That was the crescendo of everything that was going on in development. Boxing was the sport. Hands down. No one could tell you anything different. Boxing was the key sport of everything. Highest paid, highest earning. Then you had football and baseball and basketball. All of that stuff came down the road. By the 1981 season, there were about 18% black players in baseball. And today, it's 6.5%. We're at 6% African-American players in Major League Baseball. Let me repeat, 6%. That's almost invisible. Now you're looking at a chart right here. I want you to take a closer look at this chart, as they continuously don't want to push the videos I'm doing for some reason. I don't know what's going on here again. I got to check it again. But once again, you see Santo Domingo? Look at all of these baseball teams that got camps set up over here in the Dominicans. This is in the 2000s. It's like over 30 now. They got this in Puerto Rico, but not as much. They got a developmental camp in Puerto Rico, Colombia, all of these countries. They set up developmental camps over there. Why? Because it's dirt cheap and less costly. And then you could train them, and they said, well, hey, they can replace the black American players. But you know that they're so good, they're going to end up replacing your white American players. And that's when your problem's going to begin all over again. Now, here's the thing, right? When you look at the World Series, right, and you look at that team that won for Houston, they didn't have one American on the team. You got Puerto Rico, you got Dominican Republic, you got Mexico, you got Venezuela, Colombia. You don't have one American on this team. First time ever. No American on the team. And this is the American game. Why is that? There are a lot of problems that's going on in the league today. And when you start getting behind the truth of these problems, you're having issues with circumstance. That's what the main problem is. People are having issue with the circumstances of what's going on. So why is this happening? Why no one is talking about this? Well, that's why I'm here. While others are beefing with each other and yelling at each other on podcasts, they don't address the real subjects. They scared to talk about it. Meaning all these sports show podcasts, why don't they bring this up as a topic? Because they're not allowed to. They act as if black players didn't have an impact. The majority of the best players of all time are African American. Jackie Robinson, as great as he was, wasn't the best player we've had. Barry Bonds was player of the decade. You had Frank Thomas, you had Ozzie Smith, you had Ricky Henderson, you had Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Andre Durham. You've had all of these players. Eddie Murray, you remember him? Joe Morgan. You had Joe Carter. Ernie Banks, if I didn't say him. Derek Jeter's American. So There you go. I mean, that's just to name some few. You can go back to Satchel Paige. You can do all of that. But we all know what time it is. Kirby Puckett. There's so many to name from. And it doesn't take away from white players. There was a lot of great white players that played the game. Tons. But to sit there and act as if blacks can't play this game, that's become disgusting. Like, we're not good enough for Major League Baseball. And it's like, well, you couldn't beat out these guys. Okay, we can't beat out these guys that got real worldwide development from baseball camps, from their entire life, professional baseball camps, something that the inner city kid just doesn't have anymore. And why is that? Because they priced us out the game. Tony Gwynn absolutely was a great player, but they priced us out of the game. You're probably saying, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean they priced you out of the game? Oh, it's quite simple. You see, for black people, cost is going to be the number one thing there is. And they rose the price of cost for all the players and people in the league and all of this stuff. They raised the cost for you to be in this league, for you to play. Baseball for the inner city, like I just told y'all, right where I live, I have 3 baseball fields out here. 3. That's incredible. Now, if I have 3 baseball fields around me, why don't they have this same layout for anybody else in the sport? Why does this have to be the same way everywhere you go? Every city, every turnout has to be this way. Can someone explain that to me? Every city has the same problem, and low-income communities around the United States? That just sounds a little too convenient for me. That sounds a little bit too much convenient. Now, baseball will tell you that, well, blacks were more into basketball and football, and and they wanted to be on the Wheaties box, and you get a lot of exposure and become more of a celebrity if you play basketball and football. Is you got the media, you got pop culture, and all those things. So it's more opportunities for the young black athlete to go slam dunk a basketball or run real fast on the football field, but they don't want to play baseball. So they try to lie to you and say blacks don't want to play baseball, when we know this is bull. Blacks have played baseball probably their entire life. Before they even played basketball or anything else, they played soccer and baseball. Down south, that's all they play. It's hot all year round. So baseball is the number one sport they play. They barely play basketball down south. They play it, but that's not their thing. Baseball teams playing against other schools. Baseball is huge down south. That's what they do. They play this thing from 5 till they older than they become coaches. And if one of them get to go to AAA or AA, they're the happiest as can be. They love the game. Most of them, they couldn't play because of the way the seasons line up. they couldn't play basketball and baseball at the same time. So they would have to give up one of the sports. In football and baseball, that you could play both of those because the seasons were at different times. So they were allowed to play those. So they would transition to that more than basketball. Now, Major League Baseball wants you to believe, oh, it's because of that. That is the main reason why they do it. They don't want to play. When I told you before, that is lies. There are players in these leagues that they like, oh, well, they just not developed. There are players in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama that would knock the skin off the ball and pitch, give you the lowest ERA you ever seen, and bat over 300. They wanted to make you believe pitchers couldn't bat. All black pitchers knew how to bat. They didn't have a DH rule. They were knocking the skin off the ball and still throwing 90-something miles per hour down there. They didn't want that. They didn't want to see that. They wasn't ready for that in baseball. You see, they didn't want you to, because then you'll be looking at the white players like, why can't they bat? Why they just pitch all the time? Because that's what they could, they trained them to do that. Most of them, when they were younger, they used to get hit. So when you see a pitcher get a home run or a hit, it's an anomaly in the major leagues. But blacks, they had to be good on both sides. They had to do both things. So it was quite a revealing moment. Very cautious moment too. When you have great opportunities in both sports to be visible, and you get these great opportunities and celebrity exposures, and you can be a baseball star in both. So to say that don't make anything. It's all economics, and they raised the price for a reason. They don't want the young black kid from the ghetto going to make hundreds of $300 million by himself in a single deal. Baseball doesn't have a salary cap. So they don't want black players in a sport where there's no salary cap. They don't. Because now you have no reason not to pay them that. You can't cap them. You can't do all the stuff you want to do. And they're trying to push for a salary cap for baseball. Now that people are saying, where are all the blacks? Well, let's get a salary cap for baseball now. It's sad. At the same time, it's pathetic. We've seen it happen more and more frequently, and we're not seeing a consistency on any levels when it comes to this. And it's, like I said, it's deplorable. And the fact that none of these sports shows, these major league sports shows, are really bringing up that conversation is it's insulting, actually, to the general public that it's not being brought up more in conversations. Now, if you start to look at the factors and say, okay, well, let's look at factors here. Let's see why the number of black players in the major league are decreasing over time, and the rise in popularity in baseball and football and all of these things are perceived as lack of opportunities from other sports. Like, what's really going on here? And it has definitely been a position of economic cost, right? The youth travel leagues, all of these things have shot all the way to the ceiling. But let's look at the lack of programs. Let's start there, right? At these facilities, like, there are barriers that's put in place for black participations. There's always a barrier for us. So if you look at the cost of like youth baseball, let's say, for instance, they're paying about $900 annually for a child's sport for whatever. Like, let's say your family make over 100,000 plus, right? They spend nearly 3 times more on youth sports for their kids, about like $1,700 a year. per child. So you're looking at that. Low income families, they spend $600 max, or some even less, because we all know if it depends on where you are and how you go about doing your thing. But for youth baseball, that's about the lowest you're going to really get. So the prices are up, and the families can't afford these things. Where it used to be, if your kid is talented and he has skills, there was coaches and funding things that would come into play to take care of the government programs that would cover the child because he's got talent. So it's like, wait, this kid got talent. We need this kid on the court, or we need this kid on the diamond and on the field. So the decline in public funding, the reductions in the local government and school recreation budgets, those cuts in all those things in all sports. It ain't just baseball. They cut them in all sports for, the inner city urban community. So all these things became reliant on private leagues. So if you got a private league, this would all make sense to you, because public funding isn't going to be there. They're going to say, well, we're going to reallocate this to other programs. But they have these things out in the communities where there are pretty much on a level to where these type of events take place consistently. Then you move the shift towards travel league. You got to travel now. That's how you can get games. You can get more experience and play stronger teams. And most neighborhoods in the urban communities don't have baseball diamonds, and they're not well kept. Nobody's there to keep up. You don't have a grounds guy to come out there. There's no money for it. So it's a mess. And then there's limited access to the fields and the facility. So the inner city communities are often lacking the funding, facility space. So why would they do that? So baseball is supposed to have these initiative programs put in place, right? So the initiative program they put in place, let's call the drive community. Let's get the drive community going. We got to show them we are right behind them. We got what we call the diversity development camps, the Dream Series. We got the Hank Aaron Invitational. That's going to cost free training, coaching, and mentorship to high school athletes targeting Black players. Okay. How many players from the Hank Aaron Invitational get to make it to the MLB? Not many. Reviving baseball in inner city communities. They call the RBI program. So low cost opportunities for some young people we're going to let play baseball and softball and bring them into some developmental skills. They have a youth academy network that they're talking about, low cost and free baseball and softball development for some of the players, locations across the world with vocational programs. Do you know the majority of these programs that you're talking about, there are not a lot of Black people in these programs? There are white people in these programs, Mexicans in this programs, American Dominicans in this program, Venezuelans in this program. So once again, these camps are not they're not doing what the whole thing was supposedly designed for. All they're trying to say is, hey, we ain't racist. And that's what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't, because they don't care. And as long as they got a farm system that's going to allow them not to care, they're not going to care. Their farm system has allowed them not to care for years. As you can see, they haven't cared. Major League Baseball to them is for them and by them. but they're ready to create a situation where the Dominicans are going to say, hey, we got the power now. We're winning these World Series. We're the players that they got to depend on to get them to the next level. We want our power. Weren't there to be an even kill in baseball? You know, Pedro is already speaking up on this. And others are starting to follow. Now, here's what I don't understand yet again. The more we see these problems, the crazier the scenarios seem to be. Because now, here we are with another situation being faced with. Oh, yeah, they don't care. You see, they try to say, well, there's no role models for blacks no more. Like, there's fewer black stars in baseball. They're playing there, but they're not superstars anymore. They want to go play basketball and baseball. No, because basketball was the opportunity that's there for them. If you close the lane and raise the price, they're going to go play the cheapest sport. Plus, all the superstars that they know that's being promoted to them were black. LeBron James, when you had Ryan Howard from the Phillies, and he was the best thing on Philly, and was winning World Series and everything, they didn't talk about Ryan Howard. They didn't try to promote him. What's his name? Mike Trout. They promote Mike Trout, and he's never even, has he even been to the playoffs? Mike Trout has played about 10 years and he hasn't been to a playoff game, I don't think. They want him to win a World Series so bad. And Mike Trout is an outstanding player. It's just insulting to the game of baseball. You cheat the game of baseball by not putting the best players out on the field. You know, it's not saying and taking nothing away from the Dominicans who had their own league back in the 60s and 70s. And when America fell out with Cuba, they used to have all the players. Then they started putting developmental players into the Dominican Republic, where we got Sammy Sosa. The Texas Rangers had a place out there first, and they were able to get Sammy Sosa over here and get a couple of other players. And then now, if you look around, look at that. It's loaded. These are the leading cities. San Pedro is that has the most players to come into the league. San Pedro, San Cristobal, Santo Domingo. Those are the leading cities for baseball talent. And yeah, he's made about $500 million personally in salary. And his contract fully guaranteed. He was making more money than the team was worth. Well, the CTE issue is still not going to bring the black kids back into football. They still play both sports no matter what. Like, they still play baseball. Like, down south, you might not have the programs, but they're going to play 24 hours a day. Kids are going to go out and play. Today, black kids in America, most of them don't go out and play baseball like in like the Midwest and all of these, unless they're in areas where it's out there. They'll go play basketball, they'll go play football, they'll play softball. But because softball, you can just make anything a base, really. And they could do that with baseball, but most of them don't play baseball. Remember, we used to play strikeout. They draw on the wall in the projects, but like for me, baseball wasn't my number one sport growing up because we didn't have a baseball field in the projects. So we played strikeout. That was our thing. That when I go down south for the summer, all my cousins, they're in baseball leagues. They're playing ball all summer. That's their thing. So now, here's the kicker. Major leagues are starting to switch now, and all the major leaguers are starting to put people in place that shouldn't be there. Because this has been going on, no one's asking no questions. The major leagues, and this has been happening since 81. The NBA, the National Basketball Association, is doing the same damn thing. They've been following the same suit. See, the NFL don't have to worry about doing that because they got contracts. They have the worst contract in professional sports for if you're the athlete. NFL worst contracts. You can sign for $65 million and only make $3 million out of that deal and be out of the league in 3 years. So because of their contracts, that's why they control everything. They can dictate, move the way they want to move. They have the worst contracts of any professional sports team. Now, Major League Baseball has set the foundation, and their plot is being ran by the National Basketball Associations. They're saying people are just tired of seeing Negroes play Negroes, and we're losing our white competitors to other sports and activities. And that's not fair to throw black people under the bus for why your sport is going down. Your sport went down because you have a spineless, mindless commissioner who decided to dictate what team should be in the championship. And you went, instead of about team, you made it about player. And once you made it all about player, like you did with Michael Jordan, and you rode that wave, but Jordan was special. He was going to do something special every night. He's going to play every night. This is a whole new era where all of these players are feeling entitled. And then you baby the guy since 15 years old. And now this guy, you want to make him a star, but you created a monster. So now I don't want to play. My nail hurt. I got something in my nail. I'm not playing. And then he's going to sit down and have a drink on the sideline. I'm going to get my drink. Yo, I'm done. I did enough today. And you bring that kind of attitude to your sideline. That's a problem. When you bring that kind of misogynistic attitude of entitlement to the line, you created a worser situation to the table. Yeah, Hank Aaron broke the home run record. They was mad at him for that. They were mad at all of these players. They mad at Barry Bonds. They mad at Sammy Sosa. They mad. And they've sabotaged their own sport with their good old boy mentality. But now the NBA is setting up farm systems in Paris, setting them up in all these European countries where they can have development to become NBA basketball players. Just like you saw the players over there where over in Africa with Masai Ujiri has his camps, Luol Deng have his camp, and you saw South Sudan come in there and do what they did because they're putting developmental camps together in other countries. Why? Because it's cheaper to develop over there. And those guys will play till they drop. They're appreciative of the opportunity of playing here in the United States. And you keep thinking, oh, they need us black players. No, they don't. You guys are out the league every year now. Quick. You walk across that stage and 2 years later, you're out the league. Some, they don't even make the team after when they start the season. They're in G League. And they walked across the stage. First round picks. First round picks are going to G League immediately. And they don't make it out, some of them. And they walked across the stage in a suit, shook the commissioner's hand, and they gone. Gone. And nobody's even thinking about them. They came and went just that quick. So walking across that stage ain't making it no more. So when you got NBA Africa, you have all these things in development, crazy work ethic. It's all there for the taking.
With San Pedro right at the top. The system has created an opportunity for top Dominican players to end up with the MLB. And they make millions now. But no matter how far some Dominican players go, the MLB still signs many others for less than some American players. So this is still a way for them to make massive profits in the US while giving foreign-born players cheaper contracts. The DR makes money off the academy system too. The scouts help negotiate better contracts for the players, but keep a massive cut for themselves at every turn. Overall, Dominican players bring in about $400 million per year in the major league, and they send about half of that home. Plus, the academies bring in about $125 million a year, create more jobs, and the MLB spends millions maintaining them.
There's no question that after agriculture and tourism, baseball has become the third leading source of revenue for the country as a whole.
Before the Dominican players who help generate so much of the profit, the system has a long way to go. Some Dominican all-stars are starting to push for that change. They're using their fame in the MLB to ask for a system that works equally for players in both countries. To them, baseball is as much Dominican as it is American.
They are so passionate about the game. They have such a deep history for the game, an understanding of the game. They're actually in positions of control. So it's a battle between who controls the game.
And as you can see, that battle of who controls the game is going to come into play. And everyone's going to be sad when it plays out in a way that does not favor what they are asking for or contributing to be. So the NBA is following into this suit of running this system. And now with these players that's coming in from the Euro leagues who have the developmental camps over there, they have all these players and they're more talented and trained for actual basketball. While I'm here, it's pretty much athleticism with no real developmental skills. All they can do is drive, pull up, jump shot. Nobody's developed offhands, nothing. I've never seen the NBA play with no one has an offhand. You have no shot to go to. You have no hook shot. You have no finger roll. You have nothing. It's never been like this at this level. Like where you've seen someone who didn't possess like some of these skills. It's like back in the 80s and 90s, you would be embarrassed. Like Otis Thorpe would break y'all in half. You know, these are not even players they talk about. Michael Cage will be ripping down about 25 rebounds and 25 points. And y'all be, what's going on here? Because you are not capable to grasp how these guys played back in the day. Now the game is more, they say if we can just teach the Euro players the basics and fundamentals, we can cut down the African-American percentage. We don't have to worry about all this entitlement, guys getting in trouble, buying all these jewelries and chains. And now people want to see the Euro players, and those guys can play. They can actually shoot the ball, they pass it, they play basketball. Why? Because we had our camps set up out there to train these guys to play our style of game. We've actually molded our game to play more of a European fast-paced style of basketball more than the way we played here. The reason that we were able to dominate when we've had Dream Team 1 and 2 and 3, those guys weren't trained to play against half-court presses. They don't do half-court presses in the Euro League. They didn't know what that was, man. Michael Jordan, them guarding them 94 feet. They was, what? The guy's defending me right here. Why is they doing it? I haven't even crossed half court. Now you see the game. Guys are doing just that. They're guarding guys once they cross half court. They're letting them bring the ball up to get past half court. Traps, presses. Jordan and were hawks on the ball. They were winning about 30, 40 points. Euros didn't know what hit them. Ever since then, they started to learn, and they put developmental leagues out there. Once the NBA became more global, they're opening to more countries. The Dream Team, too, was to set it off for the NBA. That was the smartest thing they ever did, was get involved in the Olympics to open up the market for them. And now they have to get them more interested. They want to get into that India market. I told you when they sent Kevin Durant over there to try to get Indians more involved in basketball so they can get a developmental league and get some Indian players involved, because that market is huge. So it's right now, it's just a hot topic. As you see, they didn't want to share this video. So we said it anyway because it needed to be said. A video like this needs to be made. You know, because it needs to go out into the scope of the world. But, YouTube want to have somebody, if I said, I want to fight this person or punch this person, then they'll promote it. But when you start telling the truth and start revealing plots and stuff, they don't want to promote the video. So it is what it is. So for you guys who saw this video, I'm very happy that you were able to see it without interruption. And all of the people that understand that this is a major problem, they're the ones that's out here pushing for the changes in the Congress and all of it. They've been pushing for this. They want to see things develop and get to a level where there's actual change. Yes, but they never leaving cricket. Cricket is their game, and you can go to hell if you thinking he taking cricket away from them. Now, a lot of Indians love basketball now. Don't get me wrong, they'll watch it. Especially the ones here in America, they love the Super Bowl. But yeah, it gets crazy at times. Thank you, man. Sporting page. I'm glad, we were able to sit here and have this this conversation, because they don't like to talk about it. So they basically, instead of putting black players in, they put us to compete against the Dominicans and everyone else. But notice the white people jobs are safe. Nobody's competing against them. It ain't like you're playing for a spot and then the white guy got to leave, because there's a lot of white guys in this league that there's a lot of players that's sitting on the bench that's better than them in Major League Baseball. It's just that it doesn't have a lot of eyes on it. And a lot of these white kids are great, outstanding baseball players. Why? Because they had true development. They came up in the farm system. They've been playing since 5. Hell, they wasn't fit to play basketball. They wasn't fit to play basketball at any time soon. So in the Dominican Republic, they wasn't going to the NBA. They're like, hey, we ain't going to hoop up there against those guys. We're like 5'6". We're not going to be able to make that jump. So baseball is the best option for them. Baseball and soccer, just shooting Puerto Rico, them playing soccer, good luck with that. A Puerto Rican soccer team, they like, you get them a soccer ball, they'll kick it right in your face. Get this out of here. Get that basketball out of here. Let's go. Basketball and baseball. They are not talking about no soccer team. It's already there. AAU is nothing but fans coaching the game. And that's why you don't see anybody, like all the NBA players that are black now that they're pushing are son of former athletes. That's it. You're a son of a former athlete, meaning your dad can pay to send you to the best camps where we get to give you real training. Now, if you're in AAU and you just got tremendous skill and athleticism, they'll work with you and promote you and try to turn you into something that they could use, but they're not really developing you. Look at Ant-Man. Look what they did with him. Imagine if Ant-Man had footwork. Imagine if he had an offhand. Imagine if he had a hook shot, a step through, anything. This guy only knows pull up, jump shots, cross and dunk. That's it. Pull up 3, crossover, dunk. I have no mid range. I have no developmental skills whatsoever. And I sat there and I watched. I said, man, this guy is so talented. But other kids don't think this is the way you need to play. Just pull up, jump shot, crossover, and dunk. They can't stop it. What happens when those threes are not falling? There should never be a situation on the court that you can't adjust to. If they sit in a trap of 2 and 3, I should know where the trap is coming from. I should know who to get the ball to in that situation, or I'm in a position where I can shoot. So if the trap is coming, I'll be like, oh, I'm comfortable shooting here. You think I'm uncomfortable. I practiced this shot 1,000 times from this spot when I'm tired for this situation. Yeah. We just want everyone to understand that the music industry has been destroyed. That's predominantly African American, R&B, and rap. They buried rap like they buried jazz and the blues. Buried it. They got R&B. They got a white person singing R&B now. It's out. Rap gone. What else we got? Meaning not just one album. Really, it's like it's Kendrick and Pusha T. Who else we got? Everyone was like, wait a minute, what happened to all the new artists? All the new artists, where are they? All the people that's rapping now and putting out albums are like 40 and 50. This whole industry now is because of streaming and because of the way they controlled the record labels and us. not wanting to know what was going on in the business. We're now outside of the business. And that has doomed us and made us look as fragile as ever. So hopefully this video was hopefully this video was very entertaining and informational to y'all. And I voted, man. I made videos on the independent hip hop, so they got a new rule in place that should help the indie artists. So we should be hearing more promotion for independent artists. But this needed to be spoken about with Major League Baseball and how MLB and basketball is actually doing it. There's only 450 jobs in the NBA, right? And you see that it's like 82% African American. That's dropping every year. You got over 150 players now, over 150 that are Euro. Out of 450 jobs, over 150 is Euro. What's going to happen next year? What's going to happen the year after that? In the next 10 years, you're going to see us as a minority in the sport that we dominate, basketball. Kwame is good. Stop talking about, they trying to do him dirty, but Kwame's good, man. He's got his page. He's doing everything, man. So thank y'all for the super chat. Thanks for everybody who hit up my Cash App. Karceno is the Cash App. We thank y'all. Even though they don't want to promote the video, share it any which way you can because it needs to be said. And I'm out. Deuces.